My brother got all them jeans, so it's absolutely free. If a business doesn't have that set up, they're missing out. You go on Amazon and buy something for £20, what do you do?
Well, hello there and welcome to the latest episode of the About Small Business podcast. I've finally had my building work done. I'm back in my studio. I'm really pleased to welcome Kane Mitchell from Mitchell Digital. Kane, thank you so much for coming on and agreeing to be a kind of guinea pig with our new lighting, new setup and everything. So thank you for that.
No, you're very welcome. I'm happy I can try it out for you. Hopefully the orange doesn't ruin the lighting at all.
I love orange. I've already said that. Orange is my favourite colour. I love orange. So anything orange is fine by me. Now, Kane, Mitchell Digital, fundamentally, you're a website design agency. Is that fair?
It comes across that.
Yeah.
But web design, I would say, is every business thinks or needs a website and they need that point. But for me, that's more of an entry point. So I'll come in and web design something I've done year on year. But really, I'm a programmer by trade. Design wise is not actually my strong point.
Right, that's interesting.
So I've just started working with a couple of different designers to take that to the next level, my design wise. But
yeah.
I'm more of a problem solver, coding, custom development. But
what we would call the back end.
Yeah, but trying to sell that to somebody who doesn't know what they need. It's the website is a way of building the relationship, I find.
Yeah, I think that is really a pertinent point. I mean, a couple of episodes ago, I was speaking to Pascal Fintoni, who's a marketing guy, very much about the whole web side of things. Yeah. And I have already mentioned to you, like in our initial communications, often we know about builders not having any DIY done around their house. Typically that can be the same with website designers. I must admit, I did like your website. It's clean, it's fresh, it's to the point, and it gets the job done. You're not as keen on it. Is this just modesty?
No, it's because I've got a design I've had for 2 months for a new version, but I just don't have time to put it into place. So right. I'm like, I know that's in my back head, so it's just like, yeah, it does a job, but it's not like I know what you mean by a lot of agencies not having the right ones and stuff like that. So I have one that looks really good, but I don't know when I'm going to get it done.
I think that in itself raises a question, because I've had the same thing kind of said about my website. People have said, "Oh, I like the look of your website," and I'm in a position at the minute where it's like I need to read it, I need to make it cleaner, I need to make it a bit fresher, and I do wonder how much does that therefore mean people care? I mean, I'm not someone that's not critical of websites.
Yeah.
I'd not come on here and slag your website, but I certainly wouldn't say that I liked it if I didn't mean it. But I like your website. It does seem to be effective. And I do wonder how much more effective, how much better it can therefore look.
Well, to be honest, I am very much of the market of boring websites win. 100% of it. You get all these animated sites, but really, if you go on a tradesman's website or something like that, you go on from your day to day and affect like your household or whatever that is. Yeah. All that you need to know is what they do, where they do it, and if they're any good at it. So
I was going to say on your website, you very much. I don't know if your niche, or you're making your niche as very much focusing on local.
I have, because recently I have. So when I first sort of went on my own or started doing the side hustle of doing stuff on my own, I used a marketplace called Upwork. I'm not sure if you've heard of that one. I've heard of Upwork. So I was on there for quite some time, and from there I've got some all over the world and still to this day. And so I have quite a few in America, but generally I've got, since moving back up north, I've gone for a big focus on local, because I feel there's a lot of companies that have either don't know what they need or maybe been taken advantage of and paying for money that isn't working for their website or anything like that. So I feel like I'm trying to make sure everybody has a fair deal and not just being taken, because the barriers to entry in my industry is so low. And you feel like people are just coming to take money from them. So it's just like, right, making sure what the company gets is actually what they need.
There must have been at least 3 times you've said about what customers need, and that's clearly something that's important to you.
Yeah.
Can you give me a little bit more detail about what you would mean? And I suppose from someone that doesn't know what they need, how do they find you?
I'm still working on how to find me. That's why I'm here. But it's for them. They see that like probably the website as a one part item, when really there's a lot of moving parts of being showing themselves out there. Yeah, it does come to social media, but one of the big ones that I find businesses are just underrating is Google business profiles. It's absolutely free. If a business doesn't have that set up, they're missing out. And then going back after they send out an invoice, getting a review, do that process could get them more work than probably spending money on a website could. Yeah. Yes, they do need a website at some point, but by doing that, as somebody just, right, let's get this started, that can do a lot. And the best thing I always say to my clients or potential clients is, you go on Amazon and buy something for £20, what do? You go and look at the reviews before you hit buy every time. So if they're going for a service that could be hundreds of thousands of pounds, they want to know that you're good. And they don't want to just say that. Everybody sort of has this idea that the Google business are reliable and know that they're not just like the business owner shouting about themselves. So that's how important they are to me. It's just like, right, to be honest as well, you can get a lot of lessons out of them. If you're not reviewing them, what people are saying after so time. So, if I get a new client, one of the first things I'll go and scrape their reviews and look and see what people are saying and getting that understanding of who they are.
That's a good point, actually. So basically, anyone that's coming to you, you're wanting to get that in place first, and I suppose in that respect, you're getting those testimonials, which makes your job easier because that's what you can then highlight.
Yeah, the website is just like a functional piece, but if they've got these reviews and they're clearly good at it, that's fine. But they need to show that off, and often, like, I know it's going off customer needs, but you'll find a business owner is so much in the head and they've got everything they do in there, they don't put it on the website, and don't matter of how much detail they're going to, because it is important to them. Bits that they might not think is important probably is for their customer.
Yeah.
And they just don't put it on there.
So you've mentioned you're a programmer.
Yeah.
I like to do this with people, find out a little bit about your background, and if we can start with school, what were your thoughts about school?
With school, I was always stuck in a bit of a nerd, a geek, I prefer, sorry. And
I've often said, like, whenever people say that, I'm a nerd myself, but I think, would you just clarify, I'm assuming you're the same, with you, nerd as a compliment.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I geek out all the time. I use that on my LinkedIn. Yeah, it's definitely a positive. Everybody should be more that way. But coming out of sort of school, I wasn't particularly sure what to do. If I was going to go into trade, it would probably be a sparking. That was sort of in my mind at one point, but I'm not really that good with handy-wise. So it was just like, did the whole sixth form thing, A levels.
It's not really something you can not be good at if you're a sparking.
Exactly.
People die.
My brother got all them genes, so I think that's But yeah, I went to a few open days for university and found one. I've just sort of like, I've got to go here, so I went to Nottingham Trent. End up living and working in Nottingham for a few years. Got my first job. I did a sandwich year, and that was it was great because I went into industry and learned that out. But that final year was horrible because I didn't want to go back. I should have got used to earning.
Really?
Yeah. Or it was not what I was thinking. Oh, I'm out in the big bad world. I was enjoying it. I was making something. It still wasn't loads, but to me it was.
I think that's the thing, when you get used to not earning anything, your first job, all of a sudden that money's coming in.
I mean, when I finished uni, I had my last exam on the Friday. I went back to work with them on the Monday. That's right. I was just like, I had to get back into it straight away.
What was it you were doing?
So I was just a junior programmer for, it was a single product company. So we're building a health add-on to insurance companies. So we did I worked on projects for Boots, Aviva, Legal and General, and just to put in, look at people's life and how their life could affect their insurance rate and stuff like that. So it was interesting. It got me in there, and there's some great people, a lot of lessons learned. But I mean, the one thing that uni taught me was the one thing I wanted to do. Everything else, and that was one module out of the whole thing that taught me that. So it was, in that regard, it was a lot of money just to learn that lesson. But the amount of people you meet and stuff like that, it makes it worthwhile.
I think that is one thing with the university that people don't always fully appreciate before they've gone, or for some of us afterwards.
Yeah.
And it's that networking opportunity. It's like you're in a place where you've got lots of like-minded people. You've got people who are prepared to try anything, lots of opportunities to collaborate on things.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I say, obviously in America, you have these people meeting and form these massive tech companies. And I think that is one of those things. It's that networking that we perhaps need to find alternative ways to do that for young people as well.
Definitely, because, I mean, for me, like, I'm very much of the opinion now that you can learn pretty much anything online, apart from your doctors, your lawyers and stuff like that. There, to me, like, if my daughter says she wants to do that, then she can go to university. Everything else, I'm thinking, right, it's all about attitude and what you can get out of, because it's all on there to learn. It's all available now. They've never been.
I'm just thinking actually about what you've said about those exceptions, and are they even exceptions anymore?
Potentially not. You know,
I'm not so sure they are. I mean, I'm just thinking about like sort of quite a few online schools are starting to come through. Obviously, we know there's like sort of massive issues with mental health amongst children, and I know I've got a friend who withdrew a child from a mainstream school and signed up for a fee-paying school that was online.
Right.
And I'm just thinking, well, I mean, and I suppose through lockdown, we'll go back to lockdown. So many, I suppose, young people now have had their degrees through. Not really, but kind of was online learning.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, I mean, we do tend to have certain professions at that sort of higher level. We think there's more, but at the end of the day, it's just about how we disseminate information, isn't it, really?
Definitely. And I think it comes down to that person's attitude of how they take it. I mean, if you put somebody with the right attitude in that environment, they're going to thrive even more.
Yeah.
But then if you chuck somebody who still wants to do that, then they'll get there. But how long it will take and how much effort they put in, that's still dependent on the person. So if somebody's then paying for something that they really want to do, that, you know, it could be a life coach, chucking whatever course, if that's what they want to do and want to focus on, then there's never been more opportunities for that.
As you've already mentioned, I think with a doctor, I do wonder if someone says I trained online, that straight away you're thinking some shonky qualification. It's I suppose it's like a professional photographer turning up to a wedding with the latest iPhone. Now, in fairness, that phone's probably perfectly adequate to do the job. But if you're paying the thousands of pounds, I think you just like to see.
Yeah, I mean, you get a lot of doctors saying, "I went to university here," but not saying it was online. That's the way to get around it, definitely.
I think it's interesting, but possibly next digital project for you there.
No, that sounds like too many loopholes there. I think
you're probably right. The sort of legal loopholes, but no. So in terms of you're loving working.
Yeah.
How long did that career last, I suppose?
So I was in that job, and that was more of a proper office corporate job. And again, like, just going to skip back to that previous comment, it's like people coming out of university now not going into experiencing the office world, and in the sense of like being able to get out of bed and go to work. I think that's like, I think everybody should have some time in the office just to get used to what's expected.
Yeah.
I think that's something that's sort of missed out as well, but I was in there for another 3 or 4 years. So about 10 years ago, I then went to a small family-run agency of husband and wife, about 6 of us, and I was the only developer there, and it was all focused on smaller businesses, and that really opened my eyes, I think, and of just how they spoke to clients, how they got clients, and the different types of, and I was probably exposed just to more different types of markets and stuff like that. And I was like, because I'd only focused on one product.
Yeah.
Then I was getting all these different types of business. And that's probably the one aspects of my business I love, is learn about other industries and how they differ. So that was a big eye opener for me, of being there, and I was there for a good 7 or 8 years, I think. And it was that's the job I learned the most in, and I'm probably the most thankful for.
Right, and so was that what inspired you to eventually?
Yeah, so when we moved back up north, just sort of COVID time, with the little one, we sort of agreed I would work remotely and travel one day a month down to Loughborough, and I think they always sort of knew from that point I would probably be going on my own at some point, and it just I think it was just, I had a couple of conversations with different people. My uncle said, "Oh, you ever, could you not go on your own?" And it was no, and eventually I think maybe asked again, maybe, and just sort of I built this little black book of people I'd known from Upwork, and and to be honest, there was one catalyst from that. There was a real one that had to do it, and it's a job from Upwork, and it was for a private GP in Birmingham.
Right.
And that was starting in 2018. And by the time I finished the website, I probably got paid like £4 an hour. It was, and it was loads of pages, underbid it, and everything like that just to win the job, and got a great relationship. And then COVID came, and she was asking me to do more and more, and she went straight in on the testing, and now she has multiple clinics, multiple things, and she's like huge in the Midlands for what she does. And I'm the only person she used. It just came to that point in 2021 where I can't sort of keep up, and that was like, let's just go for it from there. And and I've still never met her to this day. It's
bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah,
modern world,
I keep saying I'm coming down. It's just really interesting how it works. But yeah,
absolutely. It's you've talked about Upwork quite a lot, and I'm just wondering for people who don't know what Upwork is. I mean, it's my understanding. I've not used it personally, but it's very much a kind of Fiverr concept.
Yeah. It was, to be honest, for me, there's Fiverr or Upwork, very very similar.
Yeah.
I don't know why I didn't look at Fiverr at the time, but it was just sort of Upwork came up, and I just put my skills on there.
I was going to say, how did you come across it?
It was, to be honest, it was just one of those things where, I could do some extra beer money or whatever that might be. Let's just try it. And my wife said, well, I've got some time, so just give it a go. And it just, one £200 job saying, I want the next one now. And they were never well-paid jobs. It was maybe the odd one, but some really good relationships. And it's finding them ones, it's just, like networking, doing that. But it's just, that's been entirely worth my while of just meeting different people.
So I suppose effectively, it's, I suppose, a small job site where you can bid for jobs.
Yeah. So you can bid for a lot of jobs all over the world in different sort of everything from coding to video editing, VAs, and in between. Just exactly as you see on Fiverr, but
it's just a different platform.
For exactly that. Yeah.
And you found it really useful.
Oh, absolutely.
In terms of, I suppose, as a showcase.
Yeah, it was
for your ability.
Yeah, it was just, to be honest, it was just to find them small little jobs and build that bit of confidence up and talk to different people and realise, and it probably gave me the opportunity to make maybe some smaller mistakes on a low key before I brought that. That was probably, I felt a bit safer doing that, even though it was still other people's business, but I just felt, right, there's a little bit barrier, essentially like trolls, but I suppose on, online, it was just like, but once I started doing things, all right, things are going, and it just sort of took off from there.
I suppose in a way, it's difficult to underemphasise how important that is to just get yourself out there, make the connections, because like sort of what might be a quick job for, I don't know, like you mentioned with your previous web design for the doctor, where you're not terribly well paid for it, but you've made a connection, you've demonstrated your ability, proven your worth, and that kind of then, you've got someone that's prepared to speak for you and say, yep, this guy did a really good job. They're happy because they've got a bit of a bargain, frankly.
Yeah.
And you've got something you can say, I did that. It's a professional job. So you are getting paid. But sort of doing a number of those, and it's, I suppose for like your Fiverrs, your Upworks, that's where you're maybe not going to become a millionaire, but you maybe perhaps laying the foundations for that kind of thing.
That is... Exactly, and the key thing there is where they can shout for you, and that's the key. Going back to getting them reviews, so I always got that straight in there, and that's the same thing. I do it a lot now. Just the odd one, just if you don't mind, just shout about me, whatever. But getting them a little bit for people to be on your side, that's invaluable. People say, "Oh, you're not getting paid much." Well, you're looking at a very small picture here. You're looking at getting paid at the end of it, but you never know what that person who they know what else they might need.
Yeah.
And it's opening a door, and that's sort of how I looked at them all. It was sometimes very stressful at night when I couldn't get something to work and I was only getting paid at £50, whatever, but...
I think, but that's it though. I mean, and I think we've spoken earlier on about opportunities, about sort of making your own look and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's the sort of thing that demonstrates a resilience, it demonstrates a work ethic. Definitely. And people will be aware of that. They will know that perhaps this job... I suspect for a lot of people they're on Upwork because they maybe have had a few quotes from an established agency, and with the established agency you're paying for that confidence, you're paying for that reputation.
Yeah.
And to some people at certain stages in their business journey that is going to be more important. And I think what's interesting is I'm thinking about what you're describing, you're sort of building the foundations of what will eventually be your own business, but you're also dealing with other people who are in exactly the same position, who might not. The only reason they might be looking for a cheaper alternative is because they're in that same position. They don't have that huge budget to invest, and so they're willing to take a chance on someone.
That is pretty much exactly it. If they, you know, they're on the up. They're trying to push themselves.
Yeah.
And to be honest, that whole with the private GP in Birmingham, what that taught me was probably one of the lessons I take everywhere is anybody can make it on the internet, right? So I give everybody an equal chance, and that's how I just see. I give all my knowledge away for free because you know you can go out there and learn it. It's readily available. But you can't get the experience that I've had. So it's just right. I've got one up there, so just give it all away for free. How they take that away, it's up to them. But yeah, it's getting them in to talk to you and then delivering it, and it just sort of multiplies from there.
And building those relationships.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and it's that the crucial networking.
It is. And looking back on it, it makes sense now. But when I officially went on my own, my biggest mistake I made was relying on my Upwork connections. I didn't start networking myself for about 18 months, 2 years, and that was a huge mistake. And now I won't say I enjoy going networking, but I like going out and talking to people once I get into it. But it was such a crucial piece that I missed early on because I've got people there, it's fine. But then you think, oh no. And that's why probably since I've been doing that, the whole local has started up and I've had more conversations, seeing what the problems are. Yeah. And that's been eye-opening. And you can't. And
you get to talk to other people who know other people and... that sort of whole web thing of getting together.
Different things, different designs. There's some good co-working groups as well. That's, when you work on your own in the middle of nowhere, it's exactly what you need.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's because, where you live, I've seen on your website, you said you live in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And your nearest village, I suppose, is still pretty remote, isn't it?
Yeah. We're quite high. I think we're about 1,000 feet above sea level as well. And it's really, nearest neighbour's half a mile away. And I was just talking to my wife the other day and said, like, if I'd told my granddad that I was working from this farm for clients over in San Diego and Michigan, he's like, how's that even like possible? It's just like, sometimes I wonder how I've got to that point. But yeah, being remote, it doesn't really affect you work-wise, but it's just like mentally, you just need sometimes this go to a coffee shop. But there's a couple of good groups that I've got involved with that are good to go once a month. You don't get as much work done, but it's just
I suppose the work that can come from that, though, isn't it? And
100%, yeah.
So if we turn on to the concept of the website, as I say, I appreciate there is more to your business, and interesting that you've called your business Mitchell Digital rather than Mitchell Web Design, which I think illustrates that. The website as a concept, and it's been around for a long time. I don't know if you were sort of an early sort of HTML coder, then developing a bit of...
for me, it was a bit Dreamweaver early days, so it'd be mid-noughties for me. That, it was a raw HTML when I got into the job, and for using Internet Explorer 6 was always the bugbear of when I started, of like, right, will it work on in IE6? But it's a lot easier now.
Yeah, I do recall, because like I say, for my business dealing with schools, schools would always have Internet Explorer. They tend to be sort of quite slow on the catch up with so much technology, because it's such a big thing getting it across. Such a massive institution, and Internet Explorer 6, because you've got a lot of developers developing programs and plugins and things for the likes of Dreamweaver that want to do all these exciting things, that can do all this amazing sort of techie, amazingly looking things.
That can work on their computer.
But works on their computer in the very latest browser, failing to appreciate that your average person isn't like that. They just want it to work.
Yeah, that's half. It's now trying to get to clients or people I speak to. I said, if it obviously needs to work on your phone. I said, have you tried your website on your phone? No. And it's like, if I look at across my clients, it's 70 or 80% of views are phone. So it's like, it's super important, and you haven't tried it yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and it's even to the point where Google is mobile first, aren't
yeah,
they?
yeah, exactly that. So when you're up above the 50% mark, they've got to be mobile first, because that's where people are. People sit behind the phone all day.
So I mean, just with that, I mean, I have asked other people this, but there are, as I'm sure you're more than well aware, a number of businesses who aren't even bothering with a website.
Yeah.
Do you think to you, is that a mistake?
It depends on the purpose. I mean, so I think if they've got a Google business profile, like I mentioned, that's super important. That can get a lot.
Yeah.
But as long as they've got their, to me, they could add an extra channel to their marketing without much hassle there. How much budget they put into it, they probably don't need to put much in if they haven't got anything, but just to make it easy for people to contact them or whatever.
Yeah.
I would say get one for a low cost if that was they weren't sure about it.
I think fundamentally, I've known businesses who have been based like that, and all of a sudden they've fallen foul of an algorithm.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden that page is gone.
Yeah.
And Facebook tend not to be the easiest company to resolve issues with, to be able to sort of say, can I get that back once it's gone? As I understand it, once it's gone, it's gone.
I think you're right. Yeah.
And if you've got no sort of connection back to...
Yeah, I mean, I've worked with people who've had somebody else do the page, and they've shut down their account, and then the page is gone, and it's just like, well, try to go back and forth. It just doesn't happen. So, if you've got your social media accounts, make sure you have them, but they still belong to your LinkedIn, their Facebook. They're never yours.
Yeah.
So making sure, and I often get clients say, "Oh, can I have my Instagram reel at the bottom?" So, and I just say you can, but you shouldn't. So social media is somewhere people go every day, and you want to get them from there to your website where they could make a sale.
Yeah.
You don't want to take them away. Say that's a place where they'll convert. So getting them on there is the most important thing. If you want to put that on, and if you're updating that every day, great. But why aren't you updating your website every month or every week? Just if you can do that once a day, you can because a fresh website also helps with Google as well. So it's just like
again, I mean, I'd seen on your own website you've got your blog there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell her what the first post was that I saw, and I'll not embarrass you. But is that still a crucial thing, though? The blog?
I don't think it is. Not the way AI is going to serve the content.
You've beat me to it.
Yeah,
you've beat me to it because we've just been chatting about, like, obviously you Google My Business, and I mean Google's still a huge beast. Yeah. We can't discount that. But what I think is interesting is when I'm doing the Google searches, and I've read you might even have written about this yourself, but the AI generated responses apparently are costing a lot of people a lot of traffic.
That's exactly it, and it's when we say losing traffic from the algorithm. That this is like the next gen version of losing traffic, because you have it's not losing to your competitors that you could get pay an SEO company more money to get above.
Yeah,
you're not beating Google itself unless you pay them for paid ads. I presume, but
I think, to be fair, part of me is glad that something's changing, because I've tried a few Google searches recently, and they do tend to. And you mentioned about reviews earlier on Amazon.
Yeah.
If I'm researching a product, and I'll look at that, and there are then these review sites that have just been set up to game the system, and they're just not helpful at all. And I think that's quite a dangerous position for any business to be in, where, Google, it used to be that you could just find, they became popular because they were good at serving what the customer wanted.
Yeah.
And it's getting to a point where they're not serving what the customer wants. And if they're not serving what the customer wants, ultimately, it is harmful.
Definitely.
On the businesses that are trying to advertise as well. Because if I get a real bad taste in my mouth because someone's had a rubbish advertisement, or clearly they've written a blog that's not helpful, is purely there to boost their business, I get quite resentful. I feel a bit cheated.
Yeah.
Like it's not fair.
No, that's
so possibly, I don't know, maybe the AI can do that. And I mean, I know ChatGPT is now, I suppose, I'm hearing people are suggesting that you need to get your business ChatGPT ready.
Yeah, and I'm finding, I know there's a lot of people saying this, but there's not a real clear way. There's a couple of things you can do to help these large language models understand it, but from all my research I've been doing for it, I've not found a clear way of where you can help that rank it. That probably comes from maybe if you have written a lot of content in the past, it's taken a lot of information from you, so it will put you higher up.
I know there are a lot of artists and a lot of writers getting very upset that they're not getting the credit that perhaps they deserve from like your Mid-Journeys and your ChatGPTs. So possibly this may be a way that ChatGPT's algorithm can kind of pay them back a bit. I don't know.
You would like to think so, but I think the biggest problem is I don't see ChatGPT making money at the minute. And that'll be losing a lot of money just for the sheer power it takes. So for them to pay anybody else, I don't see that happening in the very near future. So I think something will have to change because, they are going to get sued. There's a lot of copyright infringement. I think I was reading an article the other day that said, back 5 years ago, I think it was, that every page that you allowed Google to scrape, it would give you maybe one visit. And I can't remember the numbers, but it has dropped shockingly when you think of how many scrapes you need for different AIs, and you're thinking that's going to affect a lot of traffic, and that comes at what we were saying before. If people are going to lose visitors, so it's like, how do you get to the top of these new AIs that we don't really know loads about and how to do?
I suppose it is still relatively new. I'm finding it quite interesting what you've said about it not making money and you not seeing how it makes money, because I'm a bit of a free plan guy.
Yeah.
And I think certainly, when you are in a small business, you have to, you get a lot from those. My wife is a head teacher, as I've already mentioned, and she's got the paid plan. Yeah. And that's, that saves her so much time. But it's still not a fortune. It's not a lot of money. And when most people, the way you nodded when I said I'm a free plan kind of guy, that sort of little smile on your face is suggesting that you're perhaps the same.
I'm the opposite.
Really?
My subscription, I need to come out my subscriptions. Yeah, I've got a load of different AIs and just different things. Everything. If I'm going to do it, I'll look into it and go for it.
Misread that situation.
No, I'm terrible at that.
So which ones are you on then?
ChatGPT, Claude. I think I have cancelled Mid-Journey for now.
So you're on ChatGPT and Claude as a paid subscription.
Yeah.
Why?
So I find Claude's a better writer. One of the biggest things that I've changed in the sort of last 3 or 4 months is I sort of dictate everything.
Yeah.
So I've got a load of prompts set up in different ones that'll then I'll say, for a case study, for example, from my website, I interview myself, I've got it written down there, and I'll talk about the project, who they were, what the problem was, how I solved it, and the result. And I'll make sure, it doesn't matter what order I talk about them in, I just tell the story of different things that have happened. I then have a different prompt it uses blogs that I've written to get my tone of voice and does all that. So different ones use that, and I've just found that Claude gives me a better result for that. As well, there's a few new coding things on there, so I can't cancel that anytime soon. I think
so. Why do you then subscribe to ChatGPT? What does ChatGPT give you that Claude doesn't?
It's, to be honest, it's just the original. It's just there because I've got so much on there. I just not.
That's one that you could probably do with cancelling.
I probably could, but they both work, and it's just one of those ones I probably I'd probably miss it if it was gone. So at the minute, and like you said, it's not a fortune, but and it's when I'm working on my own, I'm like I see every potential minute that either of them can save me as a fortune. So it's like
and you've cancelled Mid-Journey.
I think I have cancelled. I think that's
your image editor.
Because the way ChatGPT can create images now, that's one of the other things. It just does little ones. I've got my little avatar that I use for on there. So that's one of the reasons.
I tried it as an image creator for the to create some thumbnails actually.
Yeah.
Now having in mind I'm on the free plan, it really didn't seem to get its head around the image sizing.
Yeah.
And it did pretty good job of caricatures, which is what I wanted it to try. Did quite a good job of that, and lettering was better than expected.
It has got better recently. Yeah.
But one thing I did find was like, anytime I was asking it to do anything, and again I suspect this is on the free plan, it was taking forever. It was saying lots of people are asking me to do that, and that's fair enough. Paid people should get priority in that respect, but I found it a little bit frustrating, but just quite remarkable what it can do for free.
Yeah, I mean,
any other gems?
Let's just say when I talk about voice and dictating, I found it a really good app. I mean, it is Mac on. It's called Voicing, and I've just been shouting about it on one of my WordPress groups of that. So I'll go in there and dictate, and it picks up better than ever. and I've got, if I'm in my in Gmail or whatever, and I'm just reading out a previous one, I'll copy the email I've got, and with that copy, it'll take that to OpenAI or ChatGPT. So it's got context, it knows my language, and then it'll, whatever I've witted on about there, it'll sort out, and it does a pretty good job at saving emails, so I can really whip out there. Otter AI is a good one as well for meetings. But yeah, there's probably loads in my head that I can't think of. But yeah, I'm a subscription guy.
If you're enjoying this content, please do like and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit the notification bell to let you know exactly when another podcast's going to drop. And so you're paying for all of these?
Yeah.
Wow,
yeah.
That's a...
Yeah, and that's probably my wife thinking, well, I thought you would make it one. It just disappears.
That's it. It's easily done though, isn't it?
It
Once
is,
you get carried away.
but it does save time, and I've got more data than I mean, I've just... One of the subscriptions I have started, I haven't got to the bottom of yet, it's called NAN. So I'm then looking at really making my own AI agents to really bring out knowledge, chatbots, and do all sorts. And I'm trying to learn that to be able to show how it can help my clients with different things. So I think that's the next stage of AI, is making it personal and affecting calendars and stuff like that. So,
do you think it will take over and kill us?
Oh, I say please and thank you, because at worst I want to be a pet.
Yeah.
So.
It is interesting. No, I'm just keep coming back to you thinking about how they make the money, and also I think the implications about like when it does eventually take jobs. But then what you said earlier about where you can be different, and that's that human experience.
Yeah.
The actual experience of jobs that you can then offer. And also, I think the crucial thing of kind of navigating the artificial intelligence.
Definitely, I mean that's
landscape.
Changing. That's changing every day. It's just crazy.
It's scary as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and just like you're saying, everybody needs somebody to guide them along with it. And for me, that's why I'm trying to push out some more video. I'm doing this because it can do everything that I can probably do, but it can't be me.
Yeah.
So that's my attitude of how I'm changing who I am to be. I can't be that friendly person who's there. I like to think I'm more of a partner or a cheerleader to a business than I am just a web dev guy. And that if you want that, you can get it.
I think that's going to be the crucial thing. It's like sort of what is artificial intelligence going to really struggle to create? I mean, I've heard the plumber's job mentioned quite a lot, but then again, as soon as the actual robots start, all of those jobs are going to fall like dominoes, because I mean, I'm just thinking like the automated bricklaying. I mean, McDonald's apparently already have the ability for a machine to make so many burgers so quickly, and once all of that comes, I mean, there are other implications as well, but I'm kind of thinking about that sort of that human interaction that we all love and we all crave.
Yeah.
How is it going to be able to manage that? I mean, I mentioned before I played in a band. We played a gig on Saturday night at my local, and the place was bouncing. Everyone was having such a good time, and there's that energy that goes into the interaction between your performers on stage. The energy that's interaction between yourself and an audience. That's going to be something that's harder to create, and I think that the more human your job can be, or the more human you can make your job, which I think for, ironically, such a technical company that you have, what's coming across to me in the time that we spent together today is how human you want to make that.
Definitely. I mean, that is one way to set apart. I mean, other thing is, yes, it will take jobs, but I think it'll probably make different jobs in So, I'm a positive sort of guy, so I just think, it'll come round. It always has done, like the best, when I listen to a lot of AI podcasts, when tractors came along and took away a lot of jobs on the farm. Things will change. It's definitely going to change. How that looks, I'm still not.
Nothing stays the same, does it?
No, so it'll be very interesting. And we'll see what happens. But for me, it's all about that human experience, because like you could have a robot band, but people will probably go and pay a premium to see humans do it, because for that interaction.
That's kind of happening at the minute, isn't it? It's like, I mean, your Spotify, your Apple Music, we can listen to Oasis for free, but as soon as they announce there's that reunion, the experience of going there and watching, being part of that live thing, that's shot up.
Yeah.
So that's so I mean, I suppose this leads me on to the inevitable question. We've speculated about what's going to happen in the future. What's the future look like for Mitchell Digital?
That is a big question for myself. I'm trying to work out a lot with my, like, I'm not the best business person, so I'm still trying to get myself more accountable and work out what that is. At the moment, it is very much being the supporter there for all these small businesses that aren't really sure, because there's a load of people out there. It's like a wild west in the digital industry. So I'm just trying to steer people the right way. But I probably will go down more the AI of being more of a back end and looking at helping people and to save time. And that's one thing that interests me. If I solve problems that way, it gives me a lot better feeling than delivering a website, because I can see people have actually saved time, or it's given customers a better experience at no extra cost to the company.
You've clearly got those passions there. That's really coming across really strongly, and I hope sort of people can see that. And I'll wish you all the best in achieving those dreams. And Kane, thank you so much.
Cheers. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.